She was about to get a second chance until she opened her mouth. It was early morning in the Providence Municipal Court. Sunlight streamed through the high windows, painting the polished wooden benches in shades of gold and amber. The murmur of waiting defendants echoed through the room. Nervous laughter whispered excuses, the occasional sigh. At the bench sat Judge Frank Caprio, calm and collected, his kind eyes soft behind his glasses. He had heard thousands of stories over the years, some heartbreaking, some absurd, and every day he tried to balance mercy with justice. But what was about to unfold would remind everyone in that courtroom that kindness has limits, and pride can be the costliest mistake of all. The bailiff called out, "Case number 3217, Dr. Laura Bennett, parking violations and failure to appear." A woman in her late 30s stood up from the second row. Her posture was perfect, her coat expensive, her hair neatly pinned back. She looked like someone who was used to being listened to, and perhaps even obeyed. As she walked toward the bench, her heels clicked across the floor like a metronome of confidence. She didn't smile, she didn't even look nervous. If anything, she looked irritated to be there at all. Judge Caprio greeted her with his usual warmth. "Good morning, doctor. How are you today?" She sighed and gave a small, forced smile. "I'd be better if I didn't have to take a day off work for this." "Your Honor, I'm a surgeon. My time is, well, valuable." A few people in the courtroom exchanged glances. The judge smiled politely, unbothered. "I understand, doctor. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. I see here you have 4 unpaid parking tickets and missed your original court date. Can you tell me what happened?" She adjusted her glasses, her tone clipped. "Honestly, Judge, I'm not sure. I barely have time to sleep, let alone keep track of where I parked 3 months ago. I work 12-hour shifts. Some nights I do even go home. I'm saving lives. Parking fines are the least of my priorities." The judge nodded slowly, listening. His eyes softened with understanding. "I can only imagine how demanding that must be. I know the city can be tough on parking, especially near the hospital. But these tickets have been outstanding for some time, and you missed your original hearing. Did you receive the notices?" She waved a hand dismissively. "Probably, but I get hundreds of letters. Most of them aren't important. I don't have time to read every envelope that comes to my door." The courtroom fell quiet. A few people shifted in their seats. Judge Caprio's smile faded slightly, though. His tone remained patient. "Doctor, I understand how overwhelming your schedule must be, and I truly respect the work you do. But everyone who comes into this courtroom has a story, and everyone's time is valuable. You said you save lives, and that's something I deeply admire, but that doesn't make you exempt from the law." She crossed her arms, her voice tightening. "With all due respect, Your Honor, I think people like me deserve a little understanding. We're short-staffed at the hospital, and I'm on call constantly. These tickets are just a result of me trying to do my job." The judge tilted his head. "So you believe the circumstances should excuse the violations?" She hesitated, then shrugged slightly. "I think they should at least be taken into account. I'm not some careless teenager ignoring the rules. I'm a doctor. I've dedicated my life to helping others. I should have to waste my time defending myself over parking tickets." The room grew still again. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Judge Caprio looked down at the papers in front of him, then back up at her. "Doctor, let me ask you something," he said softly. "How would you feel if one of your patients ignored your medical advice? If they decided your instructions didn't apply to them because they were too busy?" She frowned. "That's not the same thing." "I think it's exactly the same," he replied. "When you give a patient instructions, it's for their own good. When the city gives you a notice, it's for order, for fairness. We all have responsibilities, doctor. None of us get to pick and choose which ones matter. Her jaw tightened. But I'm not hurting anyone by parking illegally once or twice. I'm helping people. Isn't that what matters most? The judge leaned back, folding his hands. You're helping people, yes, and I respect that, but the truth is, doctor, laws aren't about who's helping more or who's working harder. They're about fairness. The same rules apply to everyone, even those who save lives. She exhaled sharply. Honestly, Judge, I think this whole process is a waste of time. I could be at the hospital right now. Instead, I'm standing here defending my schedule. A ripple of discomfort ran through the courtroom. Even those waiting for their own cases seemed uneasy. Judge Caprio looked at her for a long moment, his expression calm but distant now. I was going to reduce your fines, he said quietly. In fact, before you spoke, I had planned to dismiss 1 or 2 of these tickets entirely. I've done that many times before for people who showed humility, for people struggling but respectful. I believe in compassion, doctor. I believe in understanding. But compassion only works when there's humility on both sides. Her confident expression faltered for the first time. I'm not being disrespectful, Your Honor. I'm just trying to explain myself. He shook his head gently. No, doctor, you're justifying yourself. That's not the same thing. She opened her mouth to reply but stopped. The silence in the room stretched until it felt like time itself had paused. The judge's voice softened even more, almost fatherly. Do you know how many people I see in this courtroom who would give anything for the opportunities you have? A single mother who parked near a hydrant because she was trying to carry groceries and a baby upstairs. A veteran who couldn't afford his medication, let alone his parking tickets. People who come in here trembling because they think one mistake will ruin their lives. And yet, they stand here. With humility, they say, I was wrong, Judge, I'll do better. And when I see that, I help them because humility opens the door to mercy. Her eyes dropped to the floor, but her pride kept her from speaking. You're a doctor, he continued softly. You've dedicated your life to healing, but the thing about healing is it starts with acceptance. You can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. He looked down at his notes one last time, then back up at her. His tone changed, still calm but final. The total fine is $420. No reduction, no dismissal. You have 30 days to pay. Her head snapped up. Judge, please, He raised a hand gently. That's my decision, doctor. I hope one day you'll understand that I was punishing you. I was reminding you. Because one day someone will stand before you scared, defensive, ashamed, and maybe you'll remember how it feels to be given a chance to show humility. The doctor swallowed hard. For the first time, her eyes glistened. She nodded slightly, her voice barely above a whisper, Yes, Your Honor. She gathered her purse and walked toward the door, her shoulders no longer straight, her steps slower than before. The courtroom stayed silent until the heavy wooden door closed behind her. Judge Caprio sat still for a moment. He looked out at the people waiting for their turn, some anxious, some curious, all of them affected by what they had just witnessed. You know, he said quietly, I see a lot of pain in this courtroom. People think this is a place for punishment. It's not. It's a place for learning. And sometimes the hardest lessons come when we think we don't need them. He leaned forward slightly, his voice gentle but resolute. Humility doesn't make you small, it makes you human. And being human, that's the one thing we all share, no matter what title we carry. The courtroom was silent. Even the next defendant looked down, hands folded, lost in thought. The sunlight shifted across the floor, warm and golden, as if blessing the space with quiet understanding. Later, as the day went on and case after case passed before him, Judge Caprio's mind returned to the doctor. He didn't judge her harshly. He understood exhaustion, pressure, the way success can. sometimes blind even the best people to their own flaws. But he hoped, truly hoped, that she'd remember that morning, not for the fine but for the lesson. Outside, the city carried on as always, the rush of cars, the chatter of people, the noise of life. Somewhere among it all, a doctor walked to her car, the weight of her pride replaced by something quieter, heavier, but truer, maybe regret, maybe realization, maybe both. She had come to court expecting to be excused. Instead, she had been reminded that no one is above responsibility. That respect isn't something owed to us, it's something we give, and that mercy is never taken, only invited. She was about to get a second chance, the narrator's voice whispers one last time, until she opened her mouth, because in the courtroom of life it isn't the mistake that defines us, it's the attitude we choose when facing it. The camera lingers on Judge Caprio, sitting behind his bench, bathed in the soft morning light. His gavel rests beside his hand, untouched, unnecessary. His expression is calm, his words echoing in memory. Humility costs nothing, but it can save everything. The piano swells softly as the image fades to black. If you believe in justice with compassion, the narrator says, subscribe for more Judge stories. Because sometimes the hardest verdicts are the ones that change us.